This is the wBAG podcast, by the way.
It is.
I'm Brian Austin Green.
He is.
Joined by Derek Russell.
I am. I is.
Right. What are you, Snoop Dogg? And we're live. We're live at my home.
Yes.
Derek is in town.
I just showed up.
You know what I was thinking too? We haven't done this show in like a month. I mean, so much has happened.
Did we do it in February at all? I think January was.
Did we miss
time.
the whole month of February?
I think we did.
I mean, February was a shorter month.
It was a shorter month. Happy Black History Month. Now that it's over, we didn't get to say it. At
Better
the time.
late than never.
Yeah. Happy Women's Independence Day. All that.
Right.
Now that all the holidays we've missed, we'd like to catch up on now. And you and Megan went to Hawaii.
Yes.
You get back from Hawaii.
I get back from Hawaii. I'm here for like 4 days. Now, while Megan and I and the family are in Hawaii on vacation, I get an email like, "Hey, do you want to do an episode of Magnum PI?" It's like, yeah, of course.
Did you even know Magnum PI was back on?
I saw on the side. So here's a funny story. I saw on the side of a bus the poster for Magnum PI, and it was a picture of the new Magnum, and my first thought was like, oh, he doesn't have a mustache like Tom Selleck did.
Yeah.
And then as I was going to work my first day, I realized that the guy playing Magnum PI is an old friend of mine. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't. It's borderline
Co-star.
friend. Yeah, co-star. Someone I've worked with
Acquaintance.
before. I was like, oh, Jay is playing Magnum. So it's kind of cool. I already knew the director. He directed the Sarah Connor Chronicles, one of them, and I knew one of the producers because he was a producer also on Sarah Connor Chronicles. Mm-hmm. And then I knew Jay. And then the last day I was there, one of the other cast members did Happy Endings, and I was on that show for a little while. So that
was a good show.
Yeah, it was kind of like a fun little sort of reunion.
Yeah.
It was interesting. So yeah.
Moral of the story is you get back and turn around and you learn you have to turn around and fly back to Honolulu.
So I get back in LA. I'm here for like 4 days.
And we were supposed to record.
And
then you found out you were going back to Honolulu.
I was like, dude, I can't. I can maybe call you from my cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm going to be back in Hawaii, which isn't. I don't want to complain because
you got to go to Hawaii.
I got to go to Hawaii.
Yeah, on CBS dime.
Right.
CBS money.
Right. But yeah, I got to the point where I was a little sick of Hawaii. Which
nobody's ever said that.
Nobody's ever. I don't think in the history of the world anybody's ever said I'm a little sick of Hawaii, except for maybe people that live in Hawaii. So
that are used to it,
right? That have that like
it
island
must
fever.
suck to wake up to that view every morning.
Exactly. So
the only time I think anybody has ever said I got tired of Hawaii is that day that the missile alert came last year, and they were like, "We're all going to."
Everyone was like, "Get off the island!" Oh, we can't
swim.
We're on a fucking island. Well, no. So I had to travel with. I traveled with my mom, who she hasn't been in like 20 years, so it was great for her. And then I traveled with my 2-year-old because he won't fall asleep very easily without me. He's a total daddy's boy. We don't know why, because Megan's great with him. He's just, I'm his thing. Yeah. I'm his security blanket. I don't know what it is. So he did not want to go back to Hawaii. He didn't want to get back on a plane and fly to Hawaii again because it's a long flight.
And you just did it.
It's like a 6-hour flight.
72 hours before. Yeah.
So he was like, oh, I don't want to go back to Hawaii, barely speaking.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we have to go back for work. We're going to go with Nana, though. And he was like, I don't want to go on a plane. But we did.
I can feel him after my week. I don't want to be on a plane either.
Flying stinks.
Yeah.
Airports suck. So when we were at the airport flying home, he was jumping between the two. You know how the seats in the airport are back to back? Mm-hmm. So he climbed in between them and he was jumping around. I was looking at him and he hit my nose with his head. That's why you can still see the little bruise here.
Oh.
The whole thing was bruised like crazy. He hit me really fucking hard.
That's no fun.
Yeah. Good times.
So that was like February.
Yeah, so that happened.
A huge portion of that month.
Yeah.
little announcement about a TV show. I don't know if people
Yeah,
heard about
so
this.
was that in March? I don't even. It's all run together.
What's
I don't
today? What year is it?
Today is March
13th.
March 13th. I was going to say 12th.
2 weeks ago. So
weeks
it's
ago.
probably right at the end of February,
Right.
beginning of March. You were still in Hawaii when it hit, weren't you?
I was.
Okay.
Yeah.
If that's a frame of reference
Yeah.
at all.
It's not.
Okay.
But thanks.
Time is ridiculous.
Time. That's a crazy idea. So we're doing this reboot, which
Is reboot the right
it's
phrase?
I don't
I
want to
don't
give
know that there's a term for what you guys are
I don't
doing.
I don't want to give details of it because
Right.
I want people to still be sort of shocked and have fun when they watch it, but it's a really good idea. I didn't, after doing 10 years of the show, I really didn't want to go back and just play David Silver for another possibly 10 years.
Yeah.
It was like, it's got to be something different.
Mm-hmm.
And this idea is exactly that. And Fox loved it. And we're going back and doing 6. And they picked it up for 6, which is sort of unheard of at this point in television.
No script. You guys
No
do
script.
a pilot. I mean, they picked up 6 just from the get-go.
You know what? The cast, so it's 6 of the original 8, minus Luke and Shannon. And we went in and we were all there for the pitch, and Fox loved it. And they said in the room, they were like, we want it.
Yeah.
And we had gone and pitched to a few other places, and they wanted it also. So we had sort of a good bidding war going on, but I think I'll speak for myself. I always wanted it back on Fox. It's kind of like it's
It
a
makes
homecoming.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think I think Fox is the right network for a show like that. Like CBS owns it.
Right.
CBS Productions, and nothing against CBS, but CBS has a very different audience
Yes.
to me. That's like CSI, CBS
JAG.
is CBS is much more procedural,
Yeah.
like older audience.
And Fox has now got to do something to kind of rebrand themselves after this whole Disney thing.
Yeah.
So what better way to do that
Right.
than go back to the well, so to speak, with you guys?
I don't want to say go back to the well
well-
because that makes me sound old. and
Go home again. How about
I
that?
just, both of us being middle-aged men, I just feel like we want to avoid
Who are you talking to?
aging
right
ourselves.
now?
I'm
watch the
speaking
show.
to I'm speaking to the guy that's sitting there.
Gotcha. I didn't watch the show. I have though.
But you watched The Flash.
I have.
Right.
I have been watching the show.
All right.
I have
I'm
started.
sorry. I'm sorry, my friend.
I have gotten through season 1. I'm into season 2.
Well,
You're starting to make more appearances. now.
What's funny though is because you admit to me yesterday that you're watching the show in the background of life. You're not like sitting down on the couch and
I-
making the choice of like I'm going to watch this hour of
can't.
television. You can't. No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
impossible.
I'm
it's
sorry.
too much. It's too much, and it is what it is. It's that show. Which it worked well in the 90s
Yeah.
when there was no internet.
You had nothing else to do. And it was priority television.
There was no. I really think the fact that there was no internet at the time, like, really, it really meant a lot for the show because people were wondering. They were like, what's Beverly Hills like?
Yeah.
And they
Well, it
couldn't.
meant a lot for you guys. Not
Yeah, they
having
couldn't.
to-
They couldn't sit on their phones or on their computers and look it up. So,
Right.
whatever we told them, they bought. They were like, hey, great,
like,
Peach Pit, awesome.
this is actually West Beverly
Yeah.
Hills. Hi.
Right, exactly.
West Beverly
West
Hills.
Beverly Hills doesn't exist.
Which is about as far away from Beverly Hills as you could possibly get, as I learned this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
We made up a bunch of stuff.
We'll talk more about the reboot. You mentioned
Yeah.
Luke, and
Yeah.
we would be remiss,
So,
obviously, if we didn't talk about his untimely passing and
Yeah,
how tragic that
Luke.
has been.
Luke was a special guy.
Yeah.
Luke was one of those. I'm still mourning over it. So there's a part of me that's kind of shocked that I'm speaking about Luke this way. I mean, Jason summed it up best to me. We all knew that at some point we would have to deal with losing cast members and friends, but not this soon, not at
And not
52, not in such an abrupt way.
Yeah.
But really trying to like rationalize it and internalize it, I guess, the best I can. Luke was a really fucking cool guy. Luke was one of those people, like you and I were talking yesterday. Luke was one of those people that nobody had a bad story about.
Yeah.
He was just a great guy. And he was Luke no matter where you saw him, no matter when you saw him, no matter what he was going through, he was always like, he was a rock. And I'm extremely lucky to have had him in my life.
Yeah.
He really is a great guy, and he'll be missed. And much love and respect to his kids and his ex-wife and his fiance and everybody that was by his side dealing with it in the hospital. Crazy. It's crazy. I just don't. Luke was one of those people that, how you have like sort of an office full of people and you have people that are funny and people that are, and filled out. Luke was more of a glue type of person. Like he was, because he was so consistent, he was the guy that you would go to if you wanted something consistent. Something, you knew how he was going to react. You knew he was going to say something funny. He was really sharp-witted, which everyone knew. But he was just really honest. And you knew going to him, like, I would wonder, like, what Luke's take on this is. And I called him when we were talking about the reboot, because he knew early on that, he was doing Riverdale, and so he couldn't do the reboot.
Right.
Which was a shame, but we thought, if the reboot's doing really well, he can always come back and he can do a couple episodes, or, we'll figure it out. Same thing with Shannon. It's a shame now that that's not a possibility. I mean, that's so low on the totem pole, but it's a shame that for fans that they don't get that send off of Dylan McKay like they want.
You mentioned you guys all met at Gabrielle's house last week, and just faces you've not seen in so long.
People I haven't seen in like 18 years, at least. And you see him there, and it was very mixed emotions, because you were happy to see everybody, and you felt like, God, it's been too long, and it was great, but what a horrible reason to have to see everybody again, Yeah. So it was definitely interesting. It had its fun, funny, like laugh times, and then it had its moments of, where this is
it sucks that something so tragic brings you together after so long. And
it's one of those, like, you're sitting there and you're kind of, I don't fully know what to say, because I don't totally believe it. There's a part of me, much like the death of Elvis, that I expect Luke to walk around a corner in an airport or at a gas station, or, I don't fully believe that Luke is gone. And Luke has been in my life for a long time. And, we had a really special relationship, and I'm learning now that Luke really had a special relationship with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed from all of this is just how many lives he truly touched.
Yeah, you kind of selfishly go into it and you think like, oh, I'm really going to miss him. And it's like, no, once you realize that, you go, we are really going to miss him. Like he's much bigger than just me.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I would like to take ownership of him and our relationship, but he was a great human being. Ian
and Jason, everybody I've seen share stories, and I know on the show before you have, and maybe it was even in Atlanta last year when we were doing the live show, you and I talked about the laundry basket incident with Jason and Luke. But what's the standout story between you and Luke that's
Luke,
come to your mind in recent days?
I used to say that Luke had a 5 head because he had such a big forehead, and Luke used to say that I had a proceeding hairline. He was like, one day your hair is just going to join with your eyebrows, and it's just proceeding. It's like your forehead's getting smaller and smaller, because I had really thick, crazy hair at that point. So, Luke and I, for me, I have an older brother, but Luke was as close as you can get to having another family member. We always had sort of these ongoing jokes and these things, and so he would randomly send me text messages that were just TV or movie quotes, like, wrote a song about it, want to hear it, here you go. And that's all he would text me. And you'd read that and you'd kind of chuckle and you'd know, okay, well, Luke was just randomly thinking about me. Mm-hmm. And but we text each other on like Valentine's Day and all sorts of just random shit. And I loved him a lot. I love him, and he'll be missed. It's every once in a while I'll find like a picture that he texted me or something like that, and I even text him. I text him after he had passed, knowing obviously that he can't text me back, but right. On some level hoping that he would text me back or that he was out there somewhere. And I know he is. I know he's looking down and I know he's, smiling. And it's hard because Luke was not, knowing Luke, he is not one that wants us to mourn him. He wants us to celebrate him. But celebrating somebody's hard because part of that is mourning someone.
Yeah, the loss.
And I said to Megan, I was like, I feel a little selfish, crying and mourning him because his kids, it's like I don't want to take up. There's a part of me that was like, I don't want to take up any of his time now that he's passed. Like, I'll be okay. Like, go take care of people that really need you. And she said to me, she was like, you know what, Luke, it's not like it was when he was here. Like he can be in 20 places at once.
He's got enough of a heart to go around.
Yeah. He's fine. So don't feel selfish about mourning. Mourning is a part of it. And I've lost people before, but to lose somebody like Luke that to me just seemed so young that I've known for so long. I mean, I knew him before we were doing 90210. We did a Dr. Pepper commercial together. And so when he came to the set, he was like, hey, right, we did the Dr. Pepper thing. I was like, oh, yeah. So we had like a history, kind of.
And
history.
It was probably good to have that connection
it was great.
On a show like that.
It was
day
nice.
One. Well, it wasn't even day one because he didn't come in for...
He came in in episode 2. Okay. So he wasn't in the pilot, but he was in the second episode. Yeah. They did the pilot, and then they're like, we really need more of a bad boy to sort of round this out. And he was it, and he was perfect.
And they always tried to label him with that bad boy, rebel without a cause.
What's funny is he played that, but that wasn't Luke. Luke was the type that if we had like a Make-A-Wish kid come to the set, the two of us would fight over like taking her in the or him in the wheelchair and showing them everything, like every set, every dressing room, making sure they met making sure it was amazing. It was an amazing day. But Luke I heard stories when we were at Gabrielle's house that I wasn't even aware of. Like, Luke had gotten a call, or the production office had gotten a call saying that one of the Make-A-Wish kids that came to visit him wasn't doing very good and probably had a couple days left to live. And Luke got on a plane and flew out to see her. Nobody knew. He didn't make announcements about things. Right. He didn't make a big deal about things. He just did them. And I thought that was really cool.
When I said in the car yesterday where we were heading, and I guess we'll talk about that next.
Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah. Hopefully it will have
been. Well, no, because this isn't live. This is recorded.
Live, but at the time, we had a countdown on Instagram for noon
and
today.
Then Instagram has been down.
The mass appeal to want to come to the next live show is huge.
Right.
Huge. You guys shut down Instagram.
Totally.
And Facebook.
We'll take full credit for it.
It has nothing to do with
It's all 9 followers, 9
absolutely.
Listeners that shut it down.
But the thing I said in the car yesterday that has been so amazing to me, like you said, there's been no bad stories.
Right.
I've seen nothing.
Yeah.
People pass and they're like, you remember the time so-and-so did this shit?
Right.
Is the number of people from so many different
genres
like sports and just everything that had a Luke story
that were touched. Yeah,
Like I
in some
saw
way.
Tom Hanks's son tweeted.
Colin?
Colin tweeted about how
Oh, really?
he was on a plane with Luke one time, and there was these screaming kids through the whole plane, and Luke had balloons like in his shirt pocket.
Yeah, I found out. When we were at Gabrielle's. I didn't know this again, but Luke used to carry balloons on every flight. So whenever kids were crying or whatever, he would walk down and blow up a balloon, and he would try and do something to make it a little easier for him. And Luke did that on a regular basis. I had no idea. People are complicated, but Luke was he didn't share a lot. So when he did, it meant a lot. But there was a lot to Luke, obviously. And I think stories will continue to come forward, and more light will be shed on who Luke is and was.
And I mean, not in fans of obviously Riverdale, all the projects he's done, but everybody goes back to the show, goes back to 90210 and tells stories from that time. And I'm talking about viewers, people that grew up that, had him on his wall, and people that, felt so connected to you guys through that series. And I can't imagine. I mean, he was a brother. You talk about having an older brother, but you lost a brother.
Yeah, I mean, everybody watched the show and they lost him as fans.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is, I don't want to diminish that or or any of that, but and say that it was different for me. But for me, it feels very different because I was, where we were yesterday. I remember like where we were waiting for the camera to roll and like going to the dressing rooms. And, I remember all that. Like I see people have photos now of like, us on the beach. And it was like, I remember the setup for taking those photos. I remember like somebody sent me a picture of Luke and I, and we have the Beverly Hills 90210 t-shirts. Yeah.
I found it in our archives at work.
I remember like when we saw those t-shirts and we were like, this is fucking ridiculous. These shirts. And it was like, what color do you want? I don't give a shit. We put them on, and I mean, we were kids.
Yeah.
Luke was a kid. I was a kid.
You were even more of a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 17. He was 20.
35,
5?
Yeah.
4, something like that. Crazy.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's just that reminder, that smack in the face of like how precious life is. So not to be sappy, but reach out to the people that you care about that are in your life, and, give them a hug. And the one thing Luke did, not the one thing, but something that really meant a lot to me, and I was talking about at Gabrielle's, was he gave amazing hugs. And I know that sounds silly, but he was one of those people, I think the only person in my life that when he hugged you, he would breathe you in. Like it meant the world to him to take your time and be in your presence. Yeah. And like if you spent an hour and a half at lunch with him, for an hour and a half, he was just completely engulfed in your life and how you were feeling and what was going on. Like it just meant the world to him. And, people don't do that anymore. I mean, especially with social media, people just don't spend time with people and really experience them and get to know them and love them for who they are. It's, everything's very sort of fleeting and in passing, and he just wasn't that type of person. And I think that's why he touched so many people, because he was just really good at being present. Yeah. And I think people that met him, they felt really important to him, and it made them feel important, because people are a bit narcissistic on some level, and I think that feeds into that a little bit. But he was awesome.
And one thing I think, I never met Luke. I've only, from the years you've told me stories, but I hate when somebody that's so close to people passes, and talking about how terrible social media is and the way people react to the others. Why haven't you said anything? Why haven't you?
I had a guy on Instagram that was like, no post about Luke, and it's like, for who? Like, who am I posting for? Am I posting for Luke? Yeah. Luke passed. Am I posting for me? Am I posting for? I don't understand. Like, who am I fucking mourning for? Yeah. Like, aren't I mourning for myself? Yeah. Like, at what point?
It's not for public consumption.
Mourn your own way. If you want to post something in tribute, awesome. If you don't, awesome. Everybody's got their own way of dealing with shit. And I chose not to say anything or post anything, or that's just, to me, my relationship with Luke just meant that much. And I'm talking about it now because this is what we do on my podcast, is we talk about whatever the fuck is happening now.
Yeah.
And obviously this is. But I'm not for a second going to let someone make me feel judged for dealing with the situation how I choose to deal with it. I respect everybody's opinions and their thoughts and their, but I think especially this, I don't give a shit what you have to say. I don't care what, if you're bothered that I didn't fucking post something. I get posts about like, hey, you don't follow your wife, and it's like, but I see my wife every day. Like, I'm not on Instagram for the people that are around me that I love. Like, those people I text or I fucking see every day. Like, Instagram is my way for, my way of reaching out to fans and doing that, and reaching out with the podcast and sharing news obviously to people that I'm not going to see in 5 fucking minutes, that have no idea what's going on going on in my life. Right.
Yeah.
Megan, I see every fucking morning and day and night. And I'm going to follow her on Instagram so I can tell her what I've already told her in person. It doesn't make any sense. So that's my soapbox.
Here's our segue into the announcement, because I want to know, and we'll say it now, 'cause hopefully by this point Instagram is working. The live show, we're not returning. You're returning. We're going to Torrance High School.
We're going to Torrance, to the original West Beverly High. We're going to do a live show podcast in the auditorium at Torrance High School.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
Be exactly a year.
August 31st.
Yeah.
Tickets are on sale now.
No.
They're not.
No.
They will
soon.
be. They'll be on sale soon.
You just flooded my inbox.
The proceeds obviously again go to generosity.org.
Like last time.
I think it'll be fun though.
Yeah.
It'll be a good chance for fans of the show to see Torrance High School and see things and go, yeah, that was. I remember when Luke and Ian and Jenny and everyone walked there or walked down those stairs,
courtyard,
because most of the stuff is still there.
Yeah. We spent about 2 hours there yesterday.
We walked around the school. Courtyard is still there, so the fountain's still there. The stairs, all this stuff. Derek, who's not a fan of the show, who is begrudgingly watching it.
I wouldn't say begrudgingly.
No,
you put words in my mouth all the time.
I would say begrudgingly.
Why
right.
Stop now?
Why stop now? I'm sort of I'm kind of a fan of Derek.
Thanks.
I say just mean things just to motivate him to do.
It's helped
to do more.
Yeah, it's more than my therapist knows.
The school's awesome though. I think the fans will really like it. I'm gonna have some other surprise guests and some other cast members there. I don't want to name people because I'm sure it'll change up until the day of.
We're months away,
but it'll be fun. We had a good time when we were in Atlanta. I think we'll have a really good time here.
I think we'll have even more of a good time here.
The podcast is stupid fun, and I think people have stupid fun, and you'll get to sit in the audience, and it's a much bigger audience. It's a much bigger space. The place we were in Atlanta, we had like 150 people.
Intimate.
Yeah, it was intimate. This place, the auditorium, holds like 900 and something people.
Yeah.
So, and we'll be on a stage. We'll do a Q&A so people can come. You guys can come with a question for us. I'm not saying we'll answer it, but you can have a question. You can ask it. We might answer it. We might not. Who knows? We'll see.
And this should hit around the time, at least while episodes are still airing and toward the end of the finale, if that works out right
Of
with the
the
reboot
reboot,
with
yeah.
scheduling. So even better.
Yeah.
So I get in the car yesterday, and the first thing you say to me is I'm going to see if I can drive there from memory.
It was just a challenge for myself.
Yeah.
It was like I wanted to see.
I think it's cool that you were able to do this.
So I haven't been there since like 93,
Yeah.
I think was the last episode where we shot on location in Torrance, because by that point we had built all the schools on stage and we were mainly there. And they had all the establishing shots and all this stuff of, the West Beverly High and all that. But when we were there, when we worked there for like 2 years consistently. So I wanted to see getting on the freeway, getting off the freeway, making a right on the streets. I wanted to see if, like, by some sort of weird sense memory, I could find it again. Of course I couldn't. And at one point I was like, all right, Derek, which way to go? And he was like, yeah, you're
close.
About, we were in Torrance. We weren't that close to the school. We were heading in the direction of the school, but we were a bit
a lot
off
different
because we were on the wrong streets.
Well, I mean,
I was like, wait, these homes weren't here, and we were on the wrong street.
Well, what I thought was so cool was you would pass a landmark and you would be like, I can remember racing Jay, like coming off the freeway and like,
right.
one morning and being right up against Jay because we were sitting there at the same time.
Yeah, I'd be at a red light and I'd look over and Jay would be in his car or Shannon would be in her car. And so we would race then to set because we were young and stupid and we didn't have kids in the back seat. So now racing's a little different. Our cars are different. But yeah, we spent tons of time there. It was interesting for me to get there and like see new buildings that they've built.
Yeah.
And go, wait, that building wasn't here. That gate wasn't here. You'd see whole things and it wasn't there.
I recorded a couple things. I wish we had a camera crew with us because I've never seen you smile so big ever. Like you were kind of giddy, like walking around remembering things. Like it was nice to see nostalgic.
It's that sort of slap in the face of like remembering little things, and you have the nostalgia of like walking here and there. And I remember like seeing a door and going, yeah, that was a classroom that we used, in the second or third episode.
Mm-hmm.
You remember like, I was sharing the story of being with Luke, and I remember like waiting for action around this corner, or the golf carts taking us from this parking lot to here. And I remember people watching the show, like kids. When we filmed at Torrance High School, school was in session, so we would shoot while the kids were in class, and then the bell would ring, and we'd sort of stop shooting, and it would literally be hundreds of kids like standing off on the perimeter watching what we were doing. And sometimes if it was lunch and it was long enough, we would roll. We would film. But there would be hundreds of kids watching.
Hanging out the windows on the balcony and the stairwells watching you guys shoot.
Well, at that point, our show, those kids were the same age as our characters on the show. What was funny was being versus now,
yesterday.
And kids walking past like, hey, who's the old guy that's blocking the doorway?
Stranger danger.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, don't talk to him. He looks weird.
He doesn't have a pass.
Yeah.
When it was like the freshmen walking by, they weren't alive when the show was even on.
They don't give a shit about me.
That was so weird.
They were like, Brian who? Which I do now. But they were really like
Megan
Brian
Fox's
who?
husband.
Yeah, Megan Fox's husband, right. That was my claim to fame.
Was your reaction walking around yesterday different than it would have been 2 weeks ago? After Luke's passing? A lot of your stories seemed, obviously, I felt like you were talking a lot about him and remembering, being around a corner, coming out to the fountain, everything.
Yeah, I don't know. That's, who knows?
Yeah.
Might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been the same, but, or maybe not. I have no idea.
It was cool walking out of the auditorium up to the courtyard and seeing your reaction when you got to the fountain. All that stuff.
So what's funny is, walking out of the auditorium up to the fountain, there's a whole building there now that wasn't there before. And I was like, I don't know what was here before, but this building wasn't. It's a big building. And then you're walking, and then all of a sudden you get to a courtyard, and you go, wait, the courtyard hasn't changed at all, except for like a railing for safety on the steps.
They threw some grass in the fountain.
But the guy was saying like they had to rebuild the courtyard because of the age, and they pulled out the bricks and numbered the back of them and put everything back the way it was. Like they
I didn't hear him say that.
Yeah, they treat it like a historical.
Well, it is.
monument.
It's a historical site because the main building's like 1917.
So they numbered the bricks. They put them all back where they came from. Like they took it really. It took like he was saying 2 years to refurbish it. And there are a couple other parts of the school that are the same.
I must have been chasing butterflies at that point because God knows we saw.
I was tying my shoe.
The front.
Just for everybody that doesn't know, there's some migration of butterflies,
or it's the end times,
and it's the end of times, and we saw thousands of butterflies crossing the freeway as we were driving to Torrance High School. I picked Eric up, and crazy. So that's the story. It's not super exciting.
Yeah, that was the end of it.
I just wanted to clarify so people heard butterflies and they weren't like, what?
The front of the building, so they don't even use that anymore. The iconic, what everybody recognizes as
the
West
front
Beverly
walkway and the whole thing, it's all closed.
Sunnydale from Buffy.
There's a fucking sign that says, use the other door.
Shout out to the two kids that were skipping school that we got in trouble.
I love that. So when Derek and I, when we had finished touring the auditorium and everything, we were walking out to the front to film our video for letting everyone know, hey, this is our site,
which may or may not.
And two kids came out of the door that you're not supposed to use at all, like cutting. They were leaving. They were leaving campus. They were leaving campus, and the guy we were with was like, hey, can I see your badges and your notes? And he was like, you're not supposed to use that door. And it was like a whole big thing. And I was the old guy who was, watching two kids at high school get busted for cutting class.
What I love is when a kid can't lie and somebody asks him what they're doing.
He was like laughing.
Well, no, he just kept going, what? Like, he didn't understand. Like he'd been caught. He couldn't come up with a lie.
It's like, dude, you go to school here. I know you're smart. You can hear what I'm saying. Yeah.
Where are you going right now?
So shout out to those two kids. Yeah. Not like anyone they know or they listen to this show or they know who we are. But
one of them saw the writing on the wall and hightailed it back to the door and it locked.
And it was locked.
And he was like, "Oh, so close."
He was stuck at the door.
So after walking, that was fun. Anywhere we go, we end up having a story, don't we? But
at least we didn't eat somewhere and Bill got
Dane
sick.
was with us, so at least we didn't have a repeat of
Shout
Atlanta.
out to Dane. He was with us in Atlanta at the restaurant where our waiter someone else had to come back and say, listen, your waiter is violently ill right now.
I don't understand why they had to say violently.
It just added to the story. It added to the story.
Yeah, but it didn't add to my meal.
No, of course not. But it added to our story. Like, if we had to tell the story and say, somebody came and said, "Oh, our waiter's sick," it's not as good.
Yeah,
as violently ill.
So a little bit more about the live show. We were talking about. Yeah, we're going to be in the auditorium, going to be on stage, Q&A, all that good stuff. We'll have some kind of VIP. We're talking about a couple of different ideas.
Right.
I like yours that we're talking about. So we'll see what happens with that.
I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk prematurely because it could all change.
That's why tickets haven't gone on sale yet. So.
But the auditorium is locked down. That's happening for sure.
Yeah.
So for sure, everyone will get to be at Torrance High School and be in the auditorium and be there for the live taping of our podcast.
Yeah.
Which, for what it's worth, seems pretty cool. We'll see.
Way to sell it.
Yeah. Way to put fucking lipstick on a pig. Jesus Christ.
Come, I guess.
Yeah, come-ish, maybe, or don't. I don't know.
wBAGpod.com/live is where you can stay up to date.
What, are we
details
done?
on that? No, I'm just giving them the link for.
Well, I just want to make sure, because you tend to cut people short, and you cut the show short. And
do I?
I
didn't mean to.
I thought you were.
Continue.
No. I have nothing more to say. I was just,
give them the link for info on.
Well, no, go ahead. Give them the link.
It's fine.
Well, no, I want people to be able to buy tickets.
Well, so do I. That's why I was giving them the link. Holy shit.
Like a fucking old married couple. It's crazy.
Statler and Waldorf up in the balcony.
That's why I give you shit, because I think it helps you.
Thank you.
I think, yeah.
No, I appreciate it. It does.
It's constructive criticism.
It may be subconscious,
but it's criticism.
Yeah, it's still
nonetheless.
Still criticize me, even if it's constructively.
I don't want to try and say that I don't, because I do. But,
Thank you. Now my train of thought is totally gone.
So the live show will be cool.
Yeah. I want to talk more about the reboot, though.
Oh,
and right. I know. You guys, the writers' room assembles. You guys haven't even seen the script yet,
right?
Yeah. You want to talk about where you're filming?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
All right. Okay.
I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about details of the show. I just want to go and make it. And it's, I know some of the fans have been like very critical of what we do or don't do. The reality is, we made 10 years of a show without you guys. So on some level, you have to trust that we want to make a good show. The 90210 that was on before, the other version of the show, that wasn't a reboot. That wasn't us. We weren't doing what we do. Yeah. And now we actually have a little more control over this one. So for people that are concerned, don't be. You'll either like the show. The reality is you'll either like it or you won't.
I think that the twist on it, too, that you guys have come up with, as you've said, can be a good introduction for new people as well as people who love the show.
You know what? The twist, so here's been the sticking point for us. And believe me, we've had fans of the original show in mind. We want to appeal to the original fans of the show, but we also have the twist of we want to appeal to new fans now. Mm-hmm. And so how do you do that? And I think that the idea that we've sort of come up with for this reboot, in not giving it away, it does that. And hopefully. And if it doesn't, we tried.
Yeah.
And if it does, awesome. We did a good job.
Talking about how you guys made the show before the fans came along and all that kind of stuff. Why do you think it is that people feel such ownership on like the backlash of The Last Jedi and stuff like that? Why there is such
I think
raised up hands to stuff like that? I
think fans are interested. I mean, I get it. I was a huge fan. We had this argument over Han Solo being recast. There's sort of that. I think when people have a connection with something and their childhood, they want to hold on to that. So they don't want it to stray from what they remember. But that's just not what it is. That's not what this reboot is. This reboot isn't a direct pickup, much like the Star Wars franchise. Like, I understand that people were upset, but it's, that movie wasn't picking up where it left off in A New Hope. It was leading up, the films have been leading up to, and then the franchise is picked up at this point. So, I had trouble with like this Solo thing because I had already seen Harrison Ford play Han Solo as a kid. So I was like, I don't want to see someone playing Han Solo at the same age. It's not Han Solo to me. And I would understand for somebody else playing David Silver or somebody else playing Dylan McKay or Donna Martin, or I understand with that, you sort of have this vision of like, no, these are the people. And so we want to stay true to that with the reboot. But at the same time, the reboot it's picking up from now. So it's like, what do our lives consist of now? And our lives have changed. We're not
19 years after the show.
I'm not the same 17-year-old that went and did the pilot of 90210. I'm now 45 and I'm married and I have kids. And so how does that all tie in? It's a different time. It's a different situation. So for us, and I think what's going to be fun for the fans without giving too much away is, what is it like for 45-ish type people to make a show that they made when they were 20-something? Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the experience of the show.
It's got a good soul to it just from that right there.
I think, again, it should be fun. I hope people like it. If they don't, then they don't. But believe me, we have the best of intentions in mind in making the show. We really want to make a great show that old school fans love, that new school, we want to make new school fans. We want to appeal to everyone. And if we don't, it's a hard thing to live up to. But for me, it's exciting that we have the opportunity to do it. And it should be exciting for the fans that, I know fans that have been fans that have stuck it through, have really wanted to see us back, and we're back, and we're gonna try it, and we're gonna do our best to appeal to everyone and make it fun, and for people that don't like it, I'm sorry.
I can honestly say, as somebody who didn't grow up watching it, and everything you've told me over the past few weeks and months, while during pitches and stuff like that, you guys being the driving force behind it do have the fans. You do have the heart of the show as the goal. We
have the best of intentions.
Yeah. I'm not saying that because we're friends. I honestly believe that.
Whether people watch it and like it or not, I have no control over. I mean, the reality is, I liked the Star Wars franchise when it continued. I liked the last films. I'm looking forward to the next one. Some people didn't, and so you can't make things and appeal to everyone. It's just it's not possible. So, J.J. Abrams has the best of intentions, and he's a Star Wars fan making those. I made the original 90210 for 10 years. That was 10 years of my life. So believe me, I want to make something that's good, that lives up to it.
And you're one of the few that can say all 10 years too.
I was there for all 10 years.
People came and left and came back. But you were there day in, day out.
Totally.
What was it like, the six of you going in to these different places and pitching?
Well, so it was interesting. I said it at one of the meetings, because for the fans to know, there was a lot leading up to pitching the show. Mm-hmm. They had to sell us on this reboot idea. So at one point, the six of us were sitting in an office in a conference room, and I made an observation and a point in there. I was like, this is the first time we've all sat in a room since the show's been done. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of surreal, to sit there and see everyone and know what we were talking about and the history that could be made. And it was nothing that up until that point anyone had ever really thought about. I kicked around the idea of and we had talked about it before on the podcast, there's a possibility of doing a reboot, but I really want to do it if there's a reason, if it works, if it makes sense.
Not just for the sake of doing it.
And I heard this idea and I thought, this idea makes sense. It's a good idea. But yeah, it was a little surreal to sit in a room and see everyone that I did.
And it's insane to think how quickly it's going to be here. I mean, it's March and this summer. I mean, that video drops. Fox releases that. I mean,
Fox has this idea of they want this show out this summer.
Summer show,
which means we're getting to work now.
Yeah.
I mean, the writers' room is staffed and they're talking about all of it, and it's a big deal. And Fox is really excited about the show, and fans seem to be excited about the show, and so yeah, we're getting to work soon.
And we're not going anywhere. We'll still be doing the podcast.
And hopefully now we'll be a little more consistent in doing the podcast, because I know we haven't been here for a while. So
it's been there's Luke.
It's been a crazy
weird couple of months.
It's
been insane.
It has.
But we have a lot to look forward to leading up to August, and a lot of.
I feel like we have a lot to talk about again. Yeah. So there's a reason for people that didn't listen to the podcast to listen now, and people that did listen to be excited again about this podcast, because it was not to say it was getting dull, because because the podcast is awesome, but it gives us fresh things to discuss.
Yeah.
And a fresh
perspective. It never
perspective.
hurts to take a few weeks off either.
Yeah. It's that whole distance makes the heart grow fonder. Mm-hmm. It makes the podcast record better. It makes the content a little
Put
more
that on a
palatable.
shirt.
Yeah,
Absence makes
Yeah.
the podcast
better.
sound better. Anything else? Was there anything from yesterday we're forgetting to talk about? How about the teacher? That was cool.
Oh yeah.
That was neat.
So there was a teacher there who she was a fan of the original show. So she came by.
She was younger than me.
She was tricked to be there by the guy that was giving us a tour of everything. She had no idea why she was going to be there, and she showed up in the auditorium, and I was there, and it was cool. And Derek filmed it, of course.
For her, not
for her.
not for purposes against you.
Right. Of course, you might show it at the.
No, she probably wouldn't like that.
You say no, but I have
just
a
have to
feeling that
embarrass
it's
you,
gonna
not-
show up again.
No. But she just starts boohooing. She was shocked
She was shocked.
to see you.
Yeah, which was it was nice. She was great. Kristen.
Yeah.
Right. Super sweet, super nice. She'll be there on the 31st for the podcast.
Yeah, I made her staff, I think, while we were standing there.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, you're here.
You made
but
her a
you're
part of
working.
it? Yeah, you're working for free.
You can get in,
yeah.
but you
We'll give you a ticket, but you have to work.
need to carry all this
She
all
was
these
like,
chairs
whatever.
to the back.
We took pictures.
Yeah.
I took a picture hugging the American flag just because I've wanted to after the famous Trump
Did
photo.
I send you that side by side last night?
No.
Oh,
of
well.
hugging the flag.
It was funny.
I thought it was pretty funny.
It was funny.
Well, so maybe you can put it on. You can attach it to one of the episodes.
There you go.
This
We'll
episode,
do
maybe,
that.
of the podcast.
So yeah, with bagpod.com/live is where
Nice.
those updates will
Nice.
be. You can sign up now for to be added to a news like a mailing list for.
Oh, and for people that are watching this, yes, that is a shark that's on the wall over my
Bruce.
drum set. You want to give him a tour real quick?
Oh yeah. Where you
My
want
drum
to show?
set, I have a Tony Hawk skateboard. I have a Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier signed boxing glove over there, or two of them, that Charlie Sheen actually gave me. That was pretty cool. Oh, that's my Freddy glove that I made. You see
Oh,
that
the Freddy
down the
Krueger
street?
glove.
Yeah.
What's the Tommy gun?
The Tommy gun was in an old shooting gallery, so it's an air gun.
Cool.
It looks like a real Tommy gun, but it
And
is
there's the
not.
infamous aquarium we've talked about before.
There's the replacement to the one that broke.
It's shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it.
Hey,
This is
everybody.
us recording.
I wanna show off
There we
Bruce
go.
too.
Yeah, there's Bruce, my replica of the famous shark from Jaws.
Thank you for letting me in your home and
of
just
course.
of
course.
since I just randomly showed up at the door at the gate.
Right. And they were like, "There's a Derek Russell here." I was like, "Who?
Who? Brian,
Don't let him in."
I'm here to see Brian. Who?
Right. He's a fan. Don't let him in.
So at with Bagpod, Twitter, Instagram. Hopefully,
Instagram
Instagram's
will work.
Yeah, and with Bagpod,
We'll post a video of the reveal
Yeah.
of where. If not, then we're revealing it here.
Yeah. We'll get
You're welcome.